Hey you guys, this is Chaos War Preliminaries for February 2016, and just getting into things up against Karam 1. So our team is looking rather different than what we've done before. Previously, or at least last month, we were blocked out of playing Chaos War Preliminaries, so I didn't do videos for that. It was a rather frustrating month. There was a lot going on that just managed to really screw up Chaos War. And so it's been 2 months since we've really actually been able to play in Chaos War, and since then, of course, we've had the knighthood patch, and so Robin and myself were talking about just what we've seen and what's going on, and we both sort of acknowledged that it's really going to be difficult for us to still play with Midori and Shock, our in-game spouses, in this type of event. If Robin had knighthood, maybe we could consider it, but I still don't think it would be a great idea, since Midori and Shock are considerably lower cash tunes, both very small budget tunes, and so they would not hold up well against the top teams anymore. For the most part, I think they would get one shot by most of the top groups, and so yeah, they'll revive, but there'll be very little support, and that was the big aspect before, is they could live long enough, hopefully at least revive one of us if necessary, and they'd be able to heal and all of those things, and so that's just what they're capable of doing now, considering our opponents is just it's much harder for them to get away with that type of stuff. So that was very nice. We could have Grim and Arrow in other groups, that were very strong, and then Robin and myself could be in a group with our spouses that could take out a lot of the top teams, and we did very well that way. But now it's just unrealistic, and so we're grouped now with two of our top players. We don't have the benefit of the couple rings and revives and all of that. But the team is still very strong. Really pleased with how it turned out, actually. Just, prelims, I said, Grim was sort of timid about it. I was talking to him about it. He was, perfectly willing, but he was concerned that we were stacking too many of our top players into one team. But really in Chaos War, you have to have a team that takes out the top players, or can take out the top players. And if that means stacking all our best players into one team, then that's what we have to do. And so I was just saying, let's just give it a try for prelims, because, we don't want finals of Chaos War to be the first time that we all group together. So I have Arrow's tune at the moment. He's a very busy guy, so he's not able to make some of these evening events very often. So I'm playing both those tunes. He plays for a little bit of finals, but then also has to go. But anyway, so we're in good shape here, and I was really quite pleased with how the team worked out, sort of just getting our feet wet with preliminaries. So myself and Arrow are really the DPS, and in particular, Arrow is all DPS. He has Odin, and he has these big archer skills with knighthood, and so that's very nice. And then for myself, I have all attack skills for the mage stuff, because I don't, even if I had the option of using the heal skills for the mage, that would be I'm not sure that would be the best option, but anyway, I'm restricted to using only the offensive skills for the mages, because I don't have enough survival stats in my tattoos to switch to the restoration setup. And but that said, I have Frigga, so I'm able to heal the team once I'm able to go in stealth mode and that type of stuff. And we have an extra steal from Robin. She doesn't have a merge sylph yet. I think she's considering it, or at least for a little while she was like really thinking about making Freya, but not yet. And she's probably a month or two out from getting knighthood. I think she'll be there soon. So there we defeated Karam 1, and for whatever reason we like almost always get them the first round. I think it probably has to do with the fact that the server BRs tend to stay very similar, or at least how they rank or stack up against each other, and so like however they end up pairing everybody in prelims, we end up getting Karam 1 a lot. But now we're up against, I think the youngest server, or whatever their namesake server is Kabam 15, even though there are no Kabam 15 players in this fight, and so the top players from this server should be I think Wing and Cambo, and maybe a couple others. Their top players used to be a little bit different, but I think some of those quit. But I don't think Wing has knighthood yet, so that's going to be a little bit rough for them. I don't think they have top players that have pushed for knighthood yet. Oh, not this fight yet. But yeah, so I think this team that we have with Robin, myself, Grim, and Arrow is actually exceeds expectations, and I was pretty pleased about that. And Robin still is the only one that can stun at the moment, so that's one good thing about her tune. And she has the extra steal, and she holds up very well. Compared to pretty much anybody without knighthood. Once she has knighthood, it'll be a totally different story. She'll be able to deal a lot of damage, and her survival with the talents might go up a little bit. But yeah, I think other than Robin, the next strong... Well, okay, no. So the strongest non-knighted player for sure is Ray 7. There's no like real competition for that. For sure Ray is the strongest non-knighted player, but I think she's on her way to knighthood, or will be there very soon, probably within the same amount of time as Robin or sooner. And you know, both of them are the types of players that sort of just do things at their own pace. They have given no care in the world for you know, anybody else's pace. They'll do things as they see fit, as they should, and I tried to be like that as much as possible, but I do have knighthood already, and so yeah, so Robin's actually holding up pretty well here. A huge support for everybody, myself, Robin, and Arrow, is Grimmeth. He is really coming up again in BR. He is our top warrior again, which he hasn't been in more than a year, more than maybe even close to 2 years. So for maybe the first year or so, Grim was the top warrior on my server, really my biggest rival, and then he really dropped off when he stopped cashing as much and was really thinking about quitting, or maybe did quit for a certain amount of time. I'm not totally sure what his sort of progression has been, but over time he's just you know, been less competitive. Now he's really moving up again, doing a very nice job with the tune. His setup, I think, is a little bit odd for, I mean, personal use. Like, he has very heavy on the like HP and defensive gems, which I think is a little bit strange. So his HP is ridiculous. It's like over like 3 million or something like that. But which I think is crazy, and probably doesn't benefit him in things like Dragon Invasion and the multiplayer dungeons and stuff like that. However, in this one context, for group play, he is quite sturdy. He has, because of the HP. So even though his resistances and stuff, because he's been less active and less competitive than, say, like Robin, Arrow, and myself. So did we win that one on timer, or I think we might have killed all of them, actually. I think we had a bit of time to go. But just considering that, so he's, you know, missing some gaps. He was telling me that he had trouble against some top players, like a lot of trouble against some top players in BG. But he's still quite sturdy here, and with the defensive knight skills, exceptionally, ridiculously good support. I mean, it's insane. So there he's chaosed, so the shield failed to hit him, and it could have gone to the other team, but it didn't. But it did cover the rest of our players, and so, I mean, that shield is ridiculous. It's like a 65% damage reduction or something like that. So there we're still taking damage, but it's greatly reduced. So here we're playing one of the stronger teams from Kabam 1, but not the strongest. So with Soul Ripper and Islet and all of them, and these guys are from Kabam 1. So I mean, they're some of the top players from a very, very old Kabam server. So they're pretty sturdy. But this server has B, or Phoebe, and she is by far one of the strongest players in our cross server at the moment. So, you know, I used Odin on Arrow, and I think I might have used Odin for finals as well. Maybe? I don't know. I was struggling a bit with Arrow's Odin, you know, I was playing his Tune, and Odin is very sturdy. I thought it would help him survival-wise and everything. But I don't know. I definitely considered for finals to use Thor instead of Odin, just because I found his Odin a little bit frustrating. It's very heavily single target. It's definitely an Odin set up to play like BG or something like that. I know Arrow's like favorite thing on Earth to do is BG, and so he might be focused on winning fights like that. And so he doesn't have a lot of AoEs on it, which is very, very difficult for group play. So I was like aching for an AoE on his Odin, and I just wasn't getting it. He only has one Delphic that's an AoE. So I don't know how I totally feel about using that here. I thought maybe just if all his stuff is going to be single target, I thought I'll maybe just bring Thor because it'll deal more damage to at least one target. But I forget what I ended up doing in finals. He did play part of finals and then had to go. Oh no, not yet. I thought this might have been B's group. You know, B's going to be the biggest trouble here. She's incredibly OP, high potential to just one-shot like our entire team, and so Grimace shields just end up really saving our asses here. You know, I was a little bit concerned about the class build. Of course, we don't have a mage that has any heals, so really the only heals that we have here, I'm the only one with Frigga on at the moment. Grim could have brought Frigga, but then he'd be like totally support and he'd be dealing very, very little damage. It depends. I think he said that he doesn't have certain skills on his Frigga, so he just ended up going with Odin. I think Frigga's relatively new for him also. No, he said Frigga was the first one that he made, is the only one that he made. Alright, so I'm just talking out of my ass, but whatever it is, he didn't bring Frigga, and I think that worked out fine, actually. But the class setup I was concerned about. We don't have any healing mages or things like that, but it actually worked out quite well. So there we are. That was another group relatively strong, Vagelina and Malevolent. So again, a lot of sort of like, I don't want to call them old and make them feel exceptionally old-timey, but older players. And this is just insanely frustrating. My least favorite two words in Chaos War are party dismissed. It just gets really, really frustrating, and so, you know, sometimes we have these fights, and I used to think it was like, if somebody died on the team, then the party would dismiss. And I perpetuated that lie to myself over and over and over again, and now I've realized, just looking back at these fights and some other ones, that the party dismisses whenever the hell it feels like, because I have no rhyme or reason to it. Our party dismissed here, and we didn't lose anybody in that last fight, other than maybe the kids, so I don't know, it's very, very strange. So I managed to get Arrow back in here, but we're really, really high risk of losing our top players. Obviously our party is broken, and that's a big problem when we're potentially going to be fighting B very soon. We'll see her, and we really need the whole team. In particular, we need Grimmeth and myself on a team together. But that said, Evil Arrow is a huge portion of our DPS. So if we don't have Arrow, it's very hard to kill off the other players. So yeah, just bad news all around. Some smaller fights at first, but we will get B soon enough. We do manage to follow each other around and get into the fights, but I'm pretty sure up against B we get split. I don't know. We end up fighting this server twice. I don't know why, how the matching ended up that way, but we were a little bit confused about it at first, but it became abundantly clear that we were not getting a different opponent for our final fight. So yeah, here I'm not in the fight with those guys. I'm in a separate one, and then it's Robin, Grimmeth, and Arrow, hoping they survive alright. Putting a Guardian Rune on Arrow immediately. Of course, I get multiple opponents on me over here. And just hoping that Robin, Grim, and Arrow can survive while I go over there. At least have full awakening at the moment, so once I can get into the fight, I can heal up. Oh, did I end up going for smaller opponents? No. Okay, I'm not that crazy. Why did I lead with attack? I should just go straight into self mode and you know, heal then shield these guys. Okay, I guess I do one attack. I guess that's actually reasonable. Maybe at the time I understood what was going on in the fight better than I do right now. And anyway, okay, so that one went to timer and we lost. We actually got 250 points out of there, so that's actually more points than we got from some of our wins. So actually, I think both of our wins gave less points than that tie. And somebody was saying to me, I forget, was it? I think it might have been Steven or somebody in the comments who comments a lot was saying expected that from how we ended up doing in prelims that we had either a lot of close fights or that we were winning and doing really well. So it's the latter. It's that we did have a lot of close fights with these guys. I don't know if they were able to wipe us out this time around. Again, this is Kabam won another round against them. It's not just not just deja vu. But these are actually guys we didn't see last time, so somebody else on our server might have taken them out. Very odd indeed. Yeah, so everybody is a little bit surprised that we got the same server. I don't know if I've ever seen this in prelims. Maybe we've gotten Karam 1 multiple times. Poor Karam 1. We see them far too often. They really need a server merge or something. But I'm not sure if the Karam servers, if there's a way to get them merged. That server might be like every single Karam 1 West Coast server in existence. So I don't know if they have a lot of merge options at the moment. So still very busy in here. Lots of people left. And I don't know why I was struggling for a fight there so much, but we get one. Up against Soul Ripper, Islet, Chagall, and Wild Horse again. I think they only have one Knighthood player. Yeah, there we are. Islet has it. The rest of them, I think, still have regular skills. And Islet has the offensive setup. I don't know if defense is an option for him. And I don't know if defense is a good idea in his case. When you're the only Knighthood player, it's a little harder to justify using like the healing or defense or survival setup. Well, survival actually for the archers, at least you can still deal damage. For mages and for knights, I mean the primary role is for sure support and survival. But you know, for Grimmith, him having the defensive setup makes a lot of sense since the rest of us can deal quite a bit of damage and be the DPS, and he can be a big support and still deal some damage when he's in Sylph mode. So Grimm's real role is just shield, rage, shield, lots of shields. Maybe go into Sylph mode for a little while. That's like his big thing, and it's very, very helpful. These guys holding up pretty well, even against me. My big AoEs. Into Sylph mode. Going after the steel since everybody seems quite healthy. Not sure it was even a good idea to go into Sylph mode. Maybe I should have just gathered up rage and done another AoE. So for the mage skills, it's still, in essence, very, very magey. Oh, here I'm Chaos. I have high potential for just wiping out my whole team. Well, Grimm's gonna get the shield, but even so, I can probably kill the kids through that 65% shield. We'll see. Yeah, pretty much almost at least wiped out Grimm and Robin's kid. But yeah, so I mean, for sure, I mean, like, I think even though the Knighthood skills are a little frustrating because you can only pick one path, they are still very characteristic of each of the classes. With the mages, you still have the relatively high cost, but the biggest AoE in the game. So right now, mages have the highest power, all target, all enemy skill, and then they have a low cost, relatively high damage skill. So that third skill on my bar, which the name is not coming to me, even though I should know it. Not Hell's Requiem. Hell's Requiem is the AoE. Alright, it's not coming to me right now, but it costs 30 rage and deals 530 damage, 530% damage. and has a 30-second cooldown. So I mean, it's a little bit different than, like, say, Thunder, even though it has the same animation. It does have a much longer cooldown than Thunder, but it's still very typical of, you know, what you would expect out of a mage offensive setup. And the same for the other classes. It's just very frustrating that I cannot have heals and attacks at the same time. These guys out relatively quickly, not holding up super well against Knighthood players. Still very close, it's 14 to 10, and Kabam 1 is in the lead, and now we're up against B's group. Our party again getting split. It's incredibly frustrating. I don't know why our parties get split so much. Happened against Kabam 1 both times, and this time around, I mean, we get into a fight, you know, we're clicking around, and so Grim, Rob, and myself get into this fight, but Kitty had started it with them, and that's not really her fault. It's just annoying that we ended up in a party together. Had our party remained, Kitty would have been killed off rather quickly, and we could have fought them as a group. But at the moment we don't have Arrow, and that's very difficult to deal with. Again, Arrow is a huge portion of our group's DPS, so, you know, even though we can hold up okay without Arrow, it's a bit tough for me to try and go into Frigga and also be able to deal a lot of damage, mostly in stealth mode. I mean, I do deal some damage with the Frigga, but my class mode skills are considerably stronger. B here, she loves the Frigga. I mean, a lot of people end up rather frustrated with her. I do end up giving McLeod there a bit of crap about bringing it up with her, but at the same time, B really likes Frigga, so it's no wonder that she always has it on, and she's incredibly strong. So it makes sense for her. She has this really, really high power set of skills for class mode, and then has the Frigga as a heal. So that's sort of how I'm set up as well, but of course, I don't hold up as well. I missed the shot of her AoEing us to death, because she probably just wiped out the whole team with that cluster bomb, and then I do get into a fight with her and Arrow just gets knocked out. So yeah, that's really gross. That's a very, I mean, I think, you know, we've seen the footage of Mr. Strife in Class Wars, and he, like, one-shot a whole bunch of them. I think B is one of the few tunes in Wartune out of the archers. Probably, Kelbeans can hold up well against him as well. So those tunes are the only ones that are just probably not going to get one shot by Strife. But anyway, so here are the standings. We end up 5th in preliminaries, and so even though we took 2 losses, we actually got quite a few points. That's how preliminaries are ranked, and Kong 7 takes 1st in this one, followed up by Kabam 1, who's the server we lost twice to. So not bad, considering we took 2 losses. We actually did rather well, and we have the finals coming up, and a lot of really good, nice fights there, so I'm looking forward to voicing that over as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Take care, and have a very good day.